Crusader fans, to another edition of the Valpo Coaches Show. Joining me this week, women's soccer head coach John Marovich. John, thank you for joining us again.
I'm happy to be here.
It's been a while since we've had you on last. Your non-conference portion of your schedule almost complete, one more weekend of non-league play. And it's been kind of an up and down non-league schedule, 4-3-1 mark through 4 weeks. Obviously a couple of big wins, beating DePaul, Big East team, first ever time you beat a Big East team, and then Northwestern, your first ever win over a Big Ten team as well. Just kind of what are your thoughts on this early portion of the schedule? How has your team grown through this first month of the year?
We've grown a great deal. Integrating 12 new freshmen and then having those freshmen contribute to the team's success has been a big challenge, but also a tremendous amount of growth for our teams. And I think they're pretty much fully integrated into the program right now. And to have the success that we've had, I think really helps the team's confidence. But also with some of the injuries we've had, I think it's given a lot more players the ability to come in and show what they're able to do. So we've had a lot of really great performances from a lot of different players, and I think it's really shown the depth of this program.
You mentioned the injuries there, and that's something obviously any team can get hit by, get a string of bad luck. You guys have had some relatively major injuries early on this year. In fact, only 4 field players have started all 8 games for you so far this year. How, as a coach, do you deal with those both internally, figuring out tactically how you change things up to deal with those injuries, and then how do you approach it as a program, the mentality with the team, of not letting the injuries get you down?
Well, it can be really challenging. I mean, let's be fair. Everybody's working really hard, everybody's competing really hard, and everybody wants to win championships. So when you have things like that, it can be a real blow to your team psychologically. But what this group has really done, and it's really been impressive, is we've taken an approach of the next woman up. So maybe it's still a little something from Mike Tomlin with the Steelers, but to be fair, they've really done a good job with that. We talked about it's the next woman up. And so each week we've seen somebody else kind of emerge and kind of really elevate their performance, really trying to make something happen so that they can be a tremendous contributor to the program. And that's happened. So we've seen a lot of different players come in. Like you said, we've had 4 kids that have started those games. So I think that piece, although it might be a negative from the injury standpoint, it's really challenged us as coaches too, because now we have to look at, can we change our formation, or how are we going to play against a certain team? And I think when you look at it, it seems like we just haven't been fully 100% healthy the entire year, but yet we're 4-3-1. We beat 2 BCS conference teams, and at the end of the day, we haven't given away very many goals. We maybe haven't scored as many as we would have liked, but when your attacking side of the ball is the one that's probably taken the majority of the hits as far as the injuries, every kid's stepping up. The other day, we had a great chance by Allegra Godfrey, who just stepped up into an attacking role in the second half against IUPUI. She gave us great minutes. So it just seems like every week somebody else is kind of doing a little bit more. And so we're just hoping that continues, and maybe we'll get some of the healthy players back. But at the end of the day, I think it's been a challenge for everybody, mentally, physically, emotionally. But I think as we come out of this non-conference season, I think we'll be ready to take on anything, because we will have been through the peaks and the valleys for sure.
You mentioned the defense briefly there. Obviously something, a hallmark of the program last year, leading the nation in goals against average. This year, just as great. In fact, the Evansville match on Sunday, the first time in the last 21 matches, you guys have surrendered more than 1 goal in a game. Just a really phenomenal stretch, for a team to put together that many good defensive performances in a row. And obviously, I think fans know about Kristen Mansky, Crusader goalkeeper, now tied for second in Horizon League history, 27 career shutouts, a lot of those coming in the last 2 years. But what does it take as a unit, whether it's the 11 on the field and everyone on the bench buying in, to put together a string of defensive performances like that?
Well, it definitely takes a collective unit organizationally, but also there's a mentality. And one of the things that we've talked about this year is just about being a pride of Lions. And so that when we go out into a game, we're really a pride of Lions on the hunt, so to speak. And so we really tried to take that defensive mentality and kind of link those two together, so when we step on the park, we really have an edge to our defending. And I think, really over the course of the last 6, 7, 8 years, I think defensively we've been really strong here. But to put that kind of a stretch together, it's more than just a goalkeeper. A goalkeeper does a great job. Kristen can make outstanding saves, gets across the box, great hands, great leadership, organizing the backs in front of her. But then it also comes down to a philosophy that we have here, and a very, very strict defensive philosophy. So if we're in the defensive third and we're doing defensive third defending, it's don't let shots get off. Can you jump in front of a shot and block a shot? Can you block a cross? Can you make sure you find your mark and you're tight? When you do simple things really, really well in the defensive third, you can make it very difficult for teams to score. And they've had that great mentality in the defensive third. And then as you work your way up the park, it's even into that standard defending situation where we don't want any turns and don't want balls played over the top. And just the forward starting to set play. Which side of the field are we going to play on? Can we make the field much smaller and tighter so we can squeeze and have a better chance to win the ball? So I think it's everybody contributing in some way, shape, or form to that defensive mentality, that pack or pride of lines to go out and get the ball back. And I think that piece is really what's led to that. But on Sunday, we give up 2 goals, and sometimes you can't stop everything, and you have this string of bad luck that happened a little bit on Sunday. But we're going to recover from that because the kids know that's not going to be something that happens all the time. They're not going to make those types of things probably won't happen to them every week. So it's really just keeping ourselves mentally sharp and focused, and keeping everything in a process. Because everything is progressing really, really nicely right now. I think kids are stepping up. We're seeing that kind of energy. The attitude is really good. And we're just looking forward to this coming weekend to get another chance to get a couple of weeks.
I was going to say the last weekend of non-league play this weekend, and then the Horizon League season coming after that, and actually kind of rare in that all the games, really the second half of the season, all league contests. Where do you see the team right now heading into that league portion of the schedule?
I think mentally we're in a pretty good place with all that we've had to deal with. But we looked at the season in kind of 3 parts. I think we talked about that last time. The first 5 non-conference, the second 5. And when you look at that first 5, I think we got a lot of confidence out of that, beating 2 BCS schools, coming out of that 3-2. And the games that we dropped, we gave away a PK in the last 3 minutes, and then losing in the 109th minute of overtime at Kent State on the road. So when you look at those games right there, you go, we built a tremendous amount of confidence, a lot of team chemistry in that. The second 5, a little bit different. A lot of challenging games on the road. We have to deal with being on the road as a team and how we deal with the travel. But we right now we're 1-1-1. So we've got 2 more to go. So if we can have another winning second 5 set of games here, I think we're going to really set ourselves up to have a good league start. But again, the league is a tremendously difficult league. Everybody in the league is playing high quality caliber teams. We're all looking to win a conference championship, and that's what's exciting about the Horizon League is that when you look at it in the Midwest, we're a very well respected league. Our teams have beaten Big Ten teams. They've beaten teams in other BCS conferences. We're challenging the other mid-major conferences. Those are tremendous battles. So every night it's going to be a tremendous fight to get a league victory. So we're just preparing ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally for that journey through these first 2 segments of the season.
All right, well, thank you, Coach Marovich, for joining us here today. Always a pleasure to have you on the Coach's Show.
My pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
A reminder, you can follow all the Valpo women's soccer news online. Like Valpo Women's Soccer on Facebook, follow at Valpo WSO on Twitter. And for all your athletics news, follow at Valpo Athletics on Twitter and like Valpo Athletics on Facebook. Next week on the Valpo Coaches Show, volleyball head coach Karen Avery joins us to talk about her squad's great start to the 2013 season. Until next time, I'm Aaron Leavitt. Go Crusaders.